Good evening, everyone. This is Dude, Check This Out. We are Kevin and Noah.
Oh, hello.
Yes, hello. We are coming to you live from NPR this week. We got our NPR voices on.
Yes, we do. Actually, Peter Sagal, a good friend of mine, got You started laughing. I couldn't. I broke.
Just immediately break character. That's bad.
I tried so hard. You broke first.
Like, mentioning actual names.
Yeah, Peter Sagal. He's a friend of mine. And he got us into the studio. He's a really nice guy.
I think I'm going to use this as... We're going to start again. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this as, like, after credits.
Oh, okay. We can try again. You need to reset that over there.
Yeah.
You're listening to Dude Check This Out, Episode 9!
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to one of the greatest podcasts on the internet, hosted by the guys in this room. Currently, we are coming to you live from Kevin Land's basement. This is Dude, Check This Out.
Woo! We're in a basement.
That's Kevin Land over there. I am
That's
Noah
me.
Stewart. We are doing this show, the show where me and Kevin recommend each other different stuff to either watch, listen, or read, and other things, and talk to each other about it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Turns out there's me and Kevin have known each other for a long time, and turns out there's a lot of media out there. Too much.
Almost. Just barely almost too much.
I'm drowning over here.
Are
I'm
you?
drowning in all this media?
In the media?
Please help.
Oh, yeah. I'll send you a rope. Here we go.
Oh God. It's slipping. It's slipping. Please. No. No. Ah.
He let go.
Oh,
I guess he's going to die
yeah. No,
in the media.
Well, here I go. Putting up the thumbs up as I slowly
Very
sink
Terminator of you.
down. Yes, exactly.
You do look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know if we've ever... we described what
do.
I've looked like in the first episode, but I don't know if we described what you look like.
Yes, exactly like Arnold Schwarzenegger, as it turns out. I got the leather jacket.
You are wearing a leather
the-
jacket
the-
right now.
got the glowing red eye and everything. That's what Arnold Schwarzenegger looks like,
Mhm,
right?
yeah.
Our
Is that
our
a
governor
contact
was a
thing?
Terminator?
Yeah, no. Is that a contact thing, or is that like you have
No,
pink eye?
I just have a robot eye.
Oh,
Robot pink eye.
robot pink
Yep,
eye?
that's what it's called.
Oh, okay. Is that like a disease or...
A design flaw, maybe.
Okay. I can go with that. Cool. Sure.
They just programmed pink eye into this. I don't know why. Just
Are you a robot? I feel like you're a robot right now.
I don't like that. No comment.
Yeah, I don't want to put any I don't want to label you. I don't want to label you.
Yes,
so.
please don't put me in a box.
Yeah,
Kevin,
I'm
please.
sorry. I'm sorry, Terminator Noah.
Yes. Have you seen Terminator?
Yes.
Which one?
The first one I saw
seen Terminator
Terminator
2?
Genesis. I don't think I've seen Terminator 2.
Oh my gosh, dude. Like, okay, so there's a lot of like debate on whether or not the first one is the best or the second one is the best. I think generally people say the first one is the best,
Yeah.
but the second one, like some
That's
people
like
would,
the goo guy, right? That can like
yeah, the T1000.
Yeah.
It's like molecular
whatever
like, transformations and
metal
stuff.
goo.
Turns like his arm into a sword arm. Yeah, that one. Some people would argue that it turned into a kids movie at that point because then John Connor was like a teenager and he was hanging out with his robot friend. But that was actually the first Terminator I saw, and
Gotcha.
that movie's just delightful.
No, it's great. I should see it.
Yeah, but we're not here to talk about Terminator, as it turns out. We're here to talk about something else.
Yes, we are.
We are here to talk about one of my very favorite video games, the 2013,
I think it's 2012.
2012, yes. 2012 indie classic published by Devolver Digital. We are talking about Hotline Miami.
Yes, it's pretty good.
Heck yes.
It's got a lot of style.
Yes. A lot of style.
Yep.
So much style. Takes place in 1989, I believe.
They show the date so many times, but I never paid attention.
Yeah.
Not once.
Flies by the screen. But yeah, super awesome 1980s murder man simulator. Not murdering people that like, you know, are innocent though most of the time. You're mostly murdering Russian mafia cocaine men.
Yeah, I guess that it was always the Russian mob, but I just never really thought about it. Or because there were like those little papers that you would read. It's like, oh, the Russian mob, blah, 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 or whatever. But I found that I wasn't sure if that was they were blaming the Russian mob or if I was murdering the Russian mob. Because I know at the very end I murdered the Russian mob, but I don't know about all the stuff beforehand. Or if that was just random people I was beating in the face with a pipe.
I mean, if they got in your way, then
well, yeah,
probably.
Or if they didn't get in my way, they were just around.
They were just there, and you had a bat.
Bat.
They were just
pipe,
free game.
A little like tiger mask.
Yeah,
whatever it took.
Yeah. So I guess short synopsis: you play as the character has no name, at least in the game, but the fan community around Hotline Miami has taken to calling him Jacket.
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah, because he wears, you know, his Letterman jacket and then like all the different animal masks that give you different powers throughout the levels. So it starts off, you're in your apartment and you get like weird phone calls telling you like vague instructions, like, hey, there's a mess down at, you know, the hotel on this street. We're gonna have to, you know, ask you to go clean that up, like clean up in parentheses or in quotes. And then you get in your car, drive to the hotel, and murder all the cocaine men.
Murder everybody.
But it starts off, you're getting these weird calls, and you're having like weird hallucinations of like men in animal masks. There's 3 of them specifically.
Yeah, there's like a horse, a rooster, and an owl.
Yeah,
I think there's 3.
I think Or is one of them a tiger? Is it a tiger or is it?
No, I think you get a tiger mask.
Oh, that's right.
But in the room, the one it's like horse, rooster, owl.
Yeah, I think only one of them I actually remember the name of. I know that the chicken's name is Richard.
Yeah, I don't know what the other ones were either.
Yeah,
they all have like they're just very normal names. Like, oh, this one's Oscar. He's a mouse.
Yeah, just, you know, what animals have names.
We name all the animals. Like I remember when we played Fez, we named all the animals.
Yes, that was a good time. Yeah, and in that opening sequence is actually one of my favorite quotes from the game. Actually, one of the quotes that's like used a lot in the marketing and like the fan community is latched onto. And Richard asks, "Do you like hurting other people?"
Yeah, that was really strange. Just that whole, so like the whole beginning part, I don't quite really understand. I get that. I guess like to continue on, you go like you're like reliving all the stuff where you're murdering everybody, and then you're actually in a coma, and then you wake up from the coma. And then you go and you do other stuff.
Yeah.
So when you're like talking to the guys and then there's like zombie people like kind of hanging out because obviously it's not real because you're in that coma. I don't quite understand what it really all meant.
It seems very vague.
Yeah.
I think it's intentionally so.
Okay.
But you get all these, so you get all the, you know, like all the weird calls and go and on the murder missions and whatnot. And then there's like that one mission where like there's like the girl in the back room who's like being abused and you rescue her. Like you murder all the men and then you like take her back to your apartment. So like, cause like all the missions after that, you see her like in your
she's
apartment.
like your girlfriend after that, I think.
And they even report like when like toward the very end of the game when there's the raid on one of your missions and the police come and apprehend you, they report like, oh, there was like a woman who was found dead in, you know, the assailant's, you know, apartment that we seized.
But it was the mouse guy who killed her, right? Like the mouse dude?
Yeah.
Because then so after the coma, you know, get out of the coma and then you sneak out of the hospital, go back to your place, get your jacket. Then you go to the police station, murder all the cops, get to the guy, and you like, I guess you have a choice to murder him or not. I definitely murdered him.
Yeah, I don't really think it's a choice. If you wait around
him
long enough, I think someone might come in and take care of you.
Okay.
And then it's just like restart state because you died. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no real choice there.
Oh yeah, because I wasn't sure.
The whole point of the game is to murder.
Oh yeah, I definitely murdered him. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Because he even said like, oh, you know, you have this choice, but you look like you've already made up your mind. I'm not even going to ask for you to let me go because you look like you already made up your mind. And then I just immediately, then it gives you control back, and you could have walked away, and I just immediately murdered him.
Oh, yeah.
Just in the spirit of the game, I was like, oh no, I'm going to murder everything in my path. And then I think.
Yeah, it's the whole point of it. Like, if you're RPing as Jacket, then, like, totally just straight up murder.
And yeah, I think that, like, there's only like 2 guys you murder, like, special. There's one guy that you, like, poke out his eyes, and then this guy you just strangle to death. Like, his face turns all purple and weird.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
But before that, there was, so, like, that's, like, the climax to the story. But then, like, when you get apprehended by the police, you've been, like, severely wounded, and you're taken to the hospital, like, under custody. And there's, like, a stealth sequence.
Yeah.
Which was really cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
But that, like, you're, like, under the effects of the pain drugs and are trying to make your way out of the hospital. He makes his way out of the hospital, gets his jacket back, everything, and then goes and murders the top man.
Yeah, you go murder the police, you murder the guy that killed your girlfriend, then they lead you to the Russian mob, and you go kill the whole Russian mob, kill the top guy in, like, the little wheelchair by shooting him in his face.
Yeah. And then there's the, like, epilogue missions of, like, the motorcycle guy.
Yeah, and you kill him in one of your memories, or while you're in the coma, it shows you murdering that guy. So I wasn't sure if this was, like, an alternate timeline.
It is kind of an alternate timeline, because then while you're playing as him, you murder Jacket.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, a short sequence where, like, you're in, like, the sewers where there are guys, like, running computer stuff that is apparently, like, the reason for, like, all the stuff happening to Jacket, and something vaguely to do with, like, Russian Cold War, like, nukes, like, preparing the U.S. for a strike and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And, like, apparently, like, because that's weirdly enough that in that part there's dialogue options that'll show up, and depending on what you say, they'll either brush off what you're saying and call you crazy, or they'll be like, oh man, he's onto us, and I think they end up, like, murdering you, or you murder them, or something like that. And
Okay,
then just
yeah.
cuts the credits.
Yeah, because I didn't know it was about Russian nukes, because every time I talked to them, they just said almost nonsense, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to kill you then, and I just murdered them all, and then I left. So I wasn't sure, in the story-wise, I understood, like, the broad strokes of it, but a lot of the second half, the little epilogue, was all about finding out who was running Hotline Miami, who was running all these calls, these assassin hits. And for Jacket, he follows what the police report says, and they take him to the Russian mob. But in the Bikers epilogue, it shows that the Russian mob was just a front. It was actually these guys and the sewers who were actually running the hotline. Yeah. And when I talked to them, my dialogue options, like, maybe I picked the wrong dialogue options.
Yeah, I picked the wrong dialogue options when I played it.
Yeah, and so I
just looked all this up on Wikipedia.
Okay, later. Gotcha. So it just seemed all gibberish to me. And then I decided, I was like, okay, well, I guess this is, like, it was all meaningless. That the hotline was just because these little janitor guys or whoever they were, they're
just pulling a prank.
Yeah, they just wanted to murder everybody. So I didn't quite really understand that whole epilogue, what it was trying to get at.
Yeah.
But it was cool because you had knives and you threw knives at people. That was fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the mechanics of the motorcycle guy are really cool. But I think, like, you get, like, the true kind of meaning of the epilogue if you choose the right dialogue options.
Gotcha. And it apparently is Russian nukes?
Yeah, so that's actually explored in the second game.
Okay.
Which I recommend playing. Although it is, so, like, this took, how long did it take you to play Hotline Miami?
Probably 5 to 8 hours, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, on average, I think it takes about, like, 4 to 5 hours.
Gotcha.
Hotline Miami 2, Wrong Number, is like almost twice as long as the original Hotline Miami, because it's actually structured, like, super different.
Okay.
Because you don't play as Jacket, you play as, it's, like, taking place, like, directly after the events of Hotline Miami, and takes place, like, in the early 90s. You play as a bunch of killers that are, like, Jacket copycats. Like, they saw the example of Jacket and they're like, yeah, let's go, take down these mafia men with murder. And, like, instead of having characters that, or, like, having one character that switches out masks that augment your abilities within levels, you play as a bunch of different characters who specifically do specific things.
Gotcha. So like each character would wear one mask.
Yeah.
And you just, instead of just switching masks, you switch characters.
Yeah, like there's like one character that's like he starts the level with like dual wielding Uzis and just like can mow down dudes in the level. There's a lot of guys in those levels. And there's also one of the more unique characters is there's this character named Alex and Ash. Where you're actually controlling two characters at the same time, a brother and a sister.
Okay.
And one has a chainsaw and one has a pistol, like a silenced pistol. So you have like a lot of options there.
Okay.
Eventually the pistol runs out of ammo. So most of the time I would just end up chainsawing everyone anyways. But one of the more interesting characters in that game is you're playing as a like journalist.
Okay.
Who is covering the events of Jacket's, murder spree. Because he's kind of down on his luck and like writing this book is like his last chance to like stay afloat.
Okay. As most journalists are.
Yeah. So he is just kind of like desperately trying to investigate, certain areas and stuff, and has like some cool stealth missions where like he doesn't really kill anyone most of the time. He just like beat someone in the back of the head with like a pipe or something, and they just go down, but there's no blood. The Hotline Miami 2 is different, but cool.
Gotcha.
With the synopsis out of the way, let's go ahead and get a hot take. Kevin, what is your hot take of Hotline Miami?
The hottest take.
The hottest take.
Right. So it was a pretty wild ride, the whole game.
Yeah.
From start to finish, it was just crazy. I really enjoyed like how fast paced the gameplay was. A lot of times it was the kind of the start, and as soon as you died, you just hit the button and you're right back in it.
That's one of my favorite things about the game.
Yeah. So it really has that kind of the one more try itch of every time you could play the game for a long time and you're like, okay, like, oh, I need to stop. It's like, oh, but I'm stuck on this level, or okay, I've been playing for 3 hours. Okay, but just one more try. And then you play it and you die, like, all right, okay, just one more try. All right, okay, just one. And so that kind of like always wanting to play really got me to just play for a long period of time. And there was never a point in the game that I just wanted to put the controller down. I always was kind of itching for, okay, I can get it if I just try one more time. I thought that they did a really good job pacing between those missions where it's constantly going. And then the kind of, at least when you were in the coma, after the missions, you would go to like there was a pizza place, there was like the video store, there was a diner, there was the club. And so it was a very cool dichotomy between the super fast-paced action and then but this guy just kind of lives a life as well and kind of goes to this place and does stuff.
And then like the guy that like meets you there
is always the same guy. Yeah. And so that was a good way of like, I thought it was an interesting storytelling way as well to kind of, you had that action and then you had like the small little story beat. They gave me as a player, I still got to play and do stuff, but I got to relax the kind of on edge, constantly murdering people and engage in the game in a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. It was really, really violent in like one of the best ways.
Very violent. That's like, you need to prepare yourself kind of for how violent this game is. It's all pixel art, but like just the things that the pixel characters are doing to each other is like very graphic.
Yeah. And it felt really good. Like when you knock someone down and then you grab the pipe and you beat their head into like a bloody mess, it just felt really nice.
Like the fact that like it's not just like you knock them down and then you just press the button once and it's like, you hit them in the head and they're down. Like you have to hit the A button at least 3 times to like sufficiently bash their head in so they don't get back up.
Yeah, and it just feels really good.
Yeah.
It feels really satisfying. Maybe I'm a psychopath, it's fine. The story was interesting and really intriguing because at the beginning you don't know you're in a coma. And then as you go through the coma, then there's that really cool mission where you're like trying to sneak out once you're out of the coma.
Yeah.
And so they had this up and down story structure of you didn't really know what was going on. And when you go and you meet with the 3 animal heads in the dark room to keep you kind of guessing and engaging in the story to get you through all those gameplay moments, since the gameplay was very similar throughout. I mean, most games are. It was kind of, it could get a little repetitive in that you're just going and murdering everybody. But the story kept you really engaged, wanting to see what the next thing was going to be.
Yeah.
And I thought it just looked real cool. The game had
It's
so
got
much style.
So much style.
Yeah.
Just, that's like one of the like biggest reasons why I love this game so much. But yeah, it just oozes with like neon textures and just like the music. Oh god.
Yeah. So the style, the game did a really good job of matching the art and the sound to the feelings they were trying to invoke with the gameplay and the story as well. Everything kind of worked to an end and nothing seemed to stick out or seemed useless. So I thought the art and the soundtrack and all that stuff really empowered the game to make the gameplay and the story feel more, not real, but better and like really helped those things.
Nice. Well, I guess to dig some more into like some more meaty details. So like as far as the story goes, what kind of stood out to you is what do you think of the story?
So the story was really interesting. I didn't quite understand the bigger picture at first. So I understood you're in a coma and he's kind of dealing with his issues, right? He's dealing with the fact that he just murdered everybody, and it shows that in the very first mission he's like throwing up after he murders everyone, and he's like really affected by it.
Like it's not an easy thing for him to do.
Yeah. But by the end of it, I mean, he just kills everybody all the time.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So I don't know why he signed up for the hotline to start killing people. I don't know if it ever really explains that.
I don't know. It might have just been like that he was driven to do it.
Yeah.
Like even, just because of, the animal masked men in his head was obviously, like a hallucination.
Mm-hmm.
So he might have just, been, had some sort of psychoses to begin with. And getting the, hotline calls is what pushed him over the edge.
Yeah. So I'm not sure why he started doing hotline calls, but I guess it doesn't really matter because you got them. And so it was interesting to see from that first one, you could tell he was really upset about it. And then as the game went on, they asked him, do you like hurting people? And those types of questions. And so it made me think, like, man, like, am I doing I know I'm killing everybody and it feels good because I like doing that. And so it kind of felt like that character was asking me, do I like hurting people?
Yeah, it's one of those really good, like, hip, trendy indie game things of, like, asking the player direct questions about the nature of playing the video game.
Yeah, and so that made me stop and think, and I almost, in the next level, tried to not murder people to see if the game would let me, and the game didn't let me.
Like you tried playing it as a stealth game?
Kind of. Yeah, I guess it asked me, do you like hurting people? And so I thought, okay, maybe the game's telling me that killing people isn't the only option. And so I tried doing a stealth game. I tried probably about 3 different times, and then I just went back to murdering everybody.
Yeah, no, that's what that game demands of you, definitely. That's definitely the whole point of that game.
Yeah, so I went back to murdering everybody. I didn't quite understand all of the coma stuff. There's a lot of symbolism in there that I wasn't sure if I was understanding correctly, because there were all the different masks that, like, those 3 different masks had different personalities. I didn't really quite put that together. Then the guy had the same look at the guy you talked to, looked the same, and then he ended up looking different. And I think he looked like either the police chief or the guy you kill at the very end.
Yeah, so the second guy that comes in looks like the guy that you kill at the very end.
Yeah.
But the guy, like the first guy that's like talking to you and all your
like the shaggy hair and stuff.
Yeah, he's actually his character is explained in Hotline Miami 2. He is a friend of Jackett's when he was in the Vietnam War.
Oh, so Jackett's a vet?
Yeah, he's a vet, and the friend he sees in all of his hallucinations, you actually get to play as him in like
That's
the flashback missions in Vietnam.
Okay.
Where you're like infiltrating bases, and those are actually like pretty actually stealth heavy levels in there. But yeah, after playing the second game, you kind of get more context for like why that character is important.
Was there. Yeah. So I didn't really quite understand that. And then once I got out, I really enjoyed the getting out of the coma. The hospital level was really neat.
Yeah.
And then going to the police station, killing all the police guys, murdering the guy that murdered your girlfriend. And then at the very end, killing the mob boss was really cool. But then the whole epilogue made me question the whole first part.
Yeah.
Because it is I guess an alternate timeline is how I took it. To give me as the player more context of what went on during Jacket's play.
Yeah.
Because the guy was about to figure out who was really doing the hotlines, because you kill him in like the call center where like the calls, I guess, come from. And then that's where you kill him, but in his storyline, he finds where the calls are actually coming from, and then it's those guys underneath that we kind of already talked about with the Russian nukes, or to me it was just gibberish. So I just thought, okay, I guess the game's telling me that the hotlines are just random because these guys are insane, and Jacket's being made taken advantage of because these guys are just insane. So, killing people is bad, I guess, is what the game's trying to tell me, even though they made it super fun.
Yeah. Like the kind of like the secret ending of the epilogue, if you choose the right dialogue options and you get the guys to talk about like how they are like agents of, the Russian government sent here to like scout out, strike zones for Russian nukes. Russian like the Cold War and like Russian nukes and stuff like that is actually a big plot point in the second game.
Gotcha.
So that kind of comes up in later. But yeah, I think one of my favorite parts of the story is like the final boss where you're going up against like the mob boss's son and like the samurai like lady because he 6 tigers on you.
Yeah, were they tigers? They just look like big pink cats.
Yeah, I mean, I assume they were tigers.
Okay, we'll call them tigers
because that seems like a very like 80s like
Russian
like vibe
mob,
thing to do. Just like, I have all this extravagant wealth because I'm a mob boss. Freaking, I have tigers as pets that I sick on people because I'm rad.
Yeah, I didn't quite know what they were. They just looked like big pink cats to me. But I guess now thinking about it, they would be tigers.
Yeah.
And if it was Hotline Miami, it would be tigers. So they're tigers.
You have to fight the tigers, and then you fight that like ninja samurai lady.
Yep. And then you throw her knives at the dude.
Yeah, which is interesting because like it took me a couple tries to get it down, but like after you murder her, you actually like for the first time in the game have to like take cover.
Yeah,
like you have to like get behind the statues because he'll just unload on you and you'll die if you don't get behind cover. Which is like kind of interesting switch up in mechanics on that last boss fight. But yeah,
so I thought the story was really interesting. I feel that the second game gives the first game a lot of context that I didn't have since I haven't played the second game.
Yeah, after playing the second game and then going back and playing the first game, I kind of caught some stuff I hadn't before. Yeah,
and so I don't know if that's a knock against the first game or if that's the first game getting me like drawn in order to play the second game.
Yeah, like having a bunch of stuff and making you go like, oh, what was that all about?
Yeah.
And wanting to explore into it more.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of both. I think that the story wasn't so well crafted that I understood the references, but at the same time it was definitely well crafted enough that it made me want to understand what was going on.
Cool. All right, moving on to the nitty gritty of the video game experience. What did you think of the gameplay?
So the gameplay, it made me feel really good murdering people.
Yes.
It was really fun to murder everybody.
That game is real satisfying.
Oh yeah, especially just the fact that it makes you beat people to death with like a pipe while they're laying on the ground. That's probably I keep going back to that was the most satisfying part, or felt the best, like hitting the button from button to what's seen on the screen. That was probably my favorite button to press.
Yeah. Like every time I got someone into like a knocked down state, it was always just like, oh boy, I get to do the smash someone's head in mini game.
Yeah, either that or you pick up their head and you bang it against the ground.
Oh yeah. If you're unarmed,
yeah,
that's really good too.
So I first went through and played it on the controller like you did, like you suggested. And it took me probably about, 4 or 5 levels before I even felt remotely comfortable.
Really?
Yeah, getting a handle on it. And so I played the whole way first, the whole game all the way through with the controller first. And then I went to the mouse and keyboard. I wanted to give it a try. And the mouse and keyboard I felt a little bit better for me.
Okay. Yeah, I know some people... I might just be weird and I prefer to play on controller because the first time I played it, I actually played it on Vita. Yeah, because it was a PlayStation Plus free game.
Okay.
When it for a while when it like close to launch ish, and I had a Vita, so I was just like, I'll check out this game and you can't play mouse and keyboard on a Vita, that'd be weird. But yeah, that was an interesting way to play. It felt a lot better playing it on like an actual controller than on my Vita. But mouse and keyboard felt better for you?
Yeah, it did. It felt a little bit better, but since I had already played the game through on controller, then trying to go to mouse and keyboard felt really awkward because I had already got the controls mapped to my brain as a controller.
Did you use the lock-on a lot on controller?
I did, yeah. I definitely... At the beginning, I didn't, and then as I got further into the game, I started using the lock-on a whole bunch more.
Okay.
And so the gameplay felt really, really good. And I really enjoyed I like that they gave you kind of a bunch of different options, how you could grab people. It's like uses meat shields and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that you could, like, guns made a lot of noise, so you could, like, lure people into your little death hallway.
Yeah, it's one of the best things is like you see 2 dudes in a room, smack one of them with a bat, and then kill the other guy, steal his gun, and then kind of peek out into a hallway, take one guy out, and everyone goes, "What was that?" And then they all run over and you just kind of mow them down as they're kind of all poking their head into the room.
Yeah. So they kind of, even though the game didn't have a lot of gameplay options in the sense of it was just murder everybody that you see, they gave you a lot of different ways to murder everybody.
Yeah.
So I definitely, it took me also a little while too, because I am definitely a stealth gameplay type person. That's just my initial, I probably as most people, my initial reaction is to, okay, if using melee weapons means that people don't see me or they don't hear me, I should probably just use that the whole time. That way I can take them out one at a time. Yeah. And it took me probably about halfway through the game or so, I started deciding to I'm just going to start using guns. I was like, wow, this is way easier if I just use guns to murder everybody. And so it took me about halfway through the game of kind of like banging my head against the wall of trying to use melee weapons all the time. Mm-hmm. And so I started using guns, and then I found the guns were really, really beneficial and helpful.
Yeah, guns are real good, especially there's that one level that like for some reason they decide to throw a puzzle at you, but it's the room where the room is rigged up with a bomb.
Uh-huh.
And it always takes me a couple tries every time. I always forget that you need to take a gun and shoot the door.
Yeah.
And that'll trigger the bomb. And you have to be like not in the way of the door or else you'll die.
Yeah. So like I think that they did a really good job varying the levels as well. So that is like they do that once, and then there's another time where a car like busts in.
Yeah.
And guys just come out of the car. And then there's the other time where the police start coming in.
Yeah.
The SWAT team or whatever.
And you can't fight them because there's way too many of them and they'll kill you.
Yeah, so you have to escape from there. And there's another time where you go downstairs, you beat everybody. When you're picking up the girl, you go downstairs and you kill everyone. Then you go upstairs and you kill everyone. Then you come back downstairs and they introduce the first time like the big meaty guys who can take that.
Yeah.
They have to take either like 2 shotgun hits or a bunch of other hits. And so there's kind of, they throw these things in that vary up pacing and to keep you on your toes. So they get you kind of used to clear the room, go back to your car. Clear the room, go back to your car. And then it's clear the room. As you're heading back to your car, this car busts in, hits you, you die.
Like
and then
crazy set piece moment.
Yeah. So they do a really cool job of varying the pacing of the play and kind of the set pieces that they'll throw at you to keep you on your toes that really vary up the gameplay. I don't want to say make it more realistic because you're like Superman god killing machine.
Yeah.
And whatever. But I do think that it adds this very cool element to the game that after that happens once, all of a sudden I'm never like at ease again. Like at any time they could just throw a wrench at me and I have to be prepared.
Yeah. That kind of to change it up on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of my favorite, like definitely like if I were to say like my favorite thing gameplay wise about that game is just the kind of like almost like Zen meditative state you can get into while playing that game, because you just like start the level out, and it's almost like a puzzle game where like you're trying to just figure out the enemy layout of the levels, and you'll try something, probably die, restart, and then try again. And you just like when you die, you just press a button and you're immediately back in it.
Yeah.
And just the like nonstop synthwave soundtrack, just like I just kind of get into a state where I'm just like hyper focused on the game and just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, the instant revive system is crucial.
Yeah.
And
it's like a Super Meat Boy kind of thing where like without that game would just not be fun to play.
Yeah, and it makes it so the game is addictive and is like the crux of the whole gameplay. And I think that because of that and the level of difficulty that they put the game at is hard enough that you definitely, unless you've played it before or you're just really, really good or lucky, you're not going to beat any of the levels on your first try.
Nah, probably not.
Because you just don't know where they are. So all of a sudden you like walk into a room and it's like, oh yeah, there's mirrors there or there's windows there, and they just shoot you through the windows and you die. But because the revive system is there and the level of difficulty is just hard enough to make you want to bang your head against the wall, but it's not so difficult that you have to memorize absolutely everything and do like pixel perfect inputs, because the gameplay is just varied enough and just you can still react to things quick enough. It's not so difficult that you don't have reaction times to make that gameplay of, okay, I can do it again. Let me try again. To get you back into it over and over again.
Yeah, the game is less about like expecting you to do good, like, you know, on your first go, and it's more about learning the layout of the levels and then executing. Yeah, and like having a plan and then executing on that plan. Yeah,
and so other games similar to that I like think of that kind of have a similar thing, like Super Meat Boy. Super Meat Boy, the level itself doesn't change ever. And so it's not a thing where you can react to, oh, this is different than before. Oh, I made this mistake. Let me try to fix it. It's very much you have to just do the pixel perfect inputs and then you're done. In this game, you know, enemies walk similar paths, but there's times where if they're in a room, they kind of bounce around, and all of a sudden they could be facing the door this time when they weren't the last time. And so you still have to go into every level kind of thinking about it on your toes, because it's not just, you can't put in the exact same inputs every single time and win.
Yeah.
So I thought the gameplay was really, really good. The only complaint I have is I never found a control system, either the controller or the mouse and keyboard, where I felt I was in total control or I felt really, really comfortable with it. Maybe I'd have to spend more time playing the game, but I never found that I found that there were times where I would be wanting to do something and my brain to my hands to the game just couldn't work.
Just kind of wrestling with the controls a little bit. Yeah.
So that was the only complaint I had, was there were times where I would get frustrated with the game because I would be like, oh, I got it. I figured it out and I knew what I had to do and I thought I was reacting correctly, but the brain to my hands to the controller to the game, just that wasn't seamless.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing that I really had gameplay wise.
Okay. Like that you had an issue with?
Yeah, that I had an issue with. Everything else was really, really great.
Cool. Yeah, everything else about that game just feels real good to play.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess lastly, let's go over what is arguably the most important element of this game is its style. Its hot style.
Oh, the style.
Yeah, so this game has style all over
style
it.
Up the butt.
Style
in
up
the butt.
In the butt.
Around the butt.
Around the butt. Got bees in the butt. Just trees in your butt.
Dinosaur bones.
Got dinosaur bones in your butt. Got the
Clarence Carter.
Boogie in your butt.
What? Yes.
But yeah, the game two T's. It's got all sorts of just crazy 80s neon color. The fashion is on point from what you can see from top down.
Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah,
in
I
a
get
pixelated
you.
style.
Yeah.
Like again, the like mafia boss that has tigers as pets that he sicks on dudes is very 80s. And just like, I think probably arguably the most important element of its style is the soundtrack. The soundtrack is amazing in this game.
Yeah, this is definitely tailored to you. and what you like and your type of soundtrack.
This game actually was a very early kind of reason for me getting into synthwave. This was like one of the first play I was like, oh, I need to, because at first I thought it was just like original music, but all the soundtrack is actually like, I think the theme song that you hear at the title screen was commissioned, but everything else is like curated from synthwave artists.
Yeah, at the very end of the game when you quit, it throws up all their names.
Yeah, so all the music is just super awesome. I think like Scattle, the artist Scattle, does a lot of like, it has at least like 3 or 4 tracks that he actually like put out an EP that's just like the Hotline Miami EP. That has all the tracks that he made for the game, but then like also just like has on his other albums. One of my favorite synthwave artists, actually, Carpenter Brute, has a pretty important track in the second game that has like quickly become like probably my favorite synthwave track. It's so good. Roller Mobster, for those who are wondering. Yeah, just that's like one of the biggest reasons for the soundtrack is one of the like crucial reasons for kind of getting in that zen state.
Yeah,
just like always having a lot of just a ton of energy going into the levels and keeping you hyper focused on executing.
And the soundtrack doesn't restart every time you die. So the soundtrack is just going. And so it creates this wave of, even when you die, it's not like, okay, I have to restart or it starts over. It's just, hey, like you are in it. This is, dying is expected. Just keep going, just keep going. And the soundtrack continues on and continues to kind of pull you through the levels of every time you die, the soundtrack just continues on. So you just hit start again and you're right back into it.
Yeah. And it like, it'll loop. Like most of the time, like the levels will have the same song. And like for some reason, there's always a long gap between the loop. Like the music will just like kind of come to an end, and then there'll just be like no music for a little bit, and then it'll come back in after like about 10 seconds. I always get a little sad. Like, come on, I need the juice. I need the music to keep me going.
Yeah. So I thought that the soundtrack and the art was very. A lot of games, I feel, try to do this, and it is imperative for a good game to have this. But the art and the soundtrack drive the story and drive the gameplay to an end. So the really dark, gritty, neon-esque artwork.
Lots of blood.
Yeah, lots of blood and that kind of stuff. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Akira in the same way.
Yeah.
So in Akira, it's the kind of...
That came out in the 80s.
Yeah, that, when you're going through like downtown Neo-Tokyo or whatever, there's all the neon lights and everything's kind of gross and you don't really, like, it feels dirty and not safe, or I'm trying to think of a better word, kind of like grungy style.
Yeah.
And the neon kind of helps that, as it makes things feel artificial, or that, not big government, but like corporations or the mob or whoever are trying to take over and control stuff. Similar to like clubs, right? There's all like the flashing lights and the heavy music, but when you go there, if you turn on the lights, everything's kind of gross.
Yeah. Like you don't want to take a black light in there. That'd just be a bad time.
And so that's how Hotline Miami has that feel. And the synthwave and the artwork with all the neon, and whenever like you're going in between scenes, there's the palm trees and that are pink or neon yellow or whatever. They kind of give that feel of not noir, but that kind of underground club, dirty, nothing here. That there's shady stuff going behind the scenes wherever you are.
Yeah, but like also with like kind of like almost a hint of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Even.
Because the game came out in 2012 and it's trying to feel 1980.
Yeah. It kind of like, like you were saying, just kind of steals all the like aesthetics of like a cyberpunk kind of thing, but just without the cyber part.
Yeah. So I thought that it was really interesting how they pulled all that together, and then they made the feel kind of nostalgic. In the 80s, you're in your Letterman jacket, whatever, and then you're just murdering everybody. And so it made it feel that, okay, this is the mafia. I am working to kill people. This is not a clean, happy place. The artwork is kind of a little gross sometimes with the pixel art. No one looks really happy or really clean. Everybody looks a little nasty, a little not
faces don't look right.
Yeah, there's no straight lines. Everyone's kind of gross. And especially once you're in the coma state and everyone's all beat up and gross and they're like zombie people.
Yeah,
go and talk to someone, they're missing their eye and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like it looks like they're like they've been shot in the head and they're like missing parts of their skull, but they're still like talking to you like what, do I have something on my face? Like, they're acting like nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real creepy.
Yeah, so I thought that the artwork and the soundtrack specifically really keeps you in that zen mode of just keep going, hit start again, play again, keep going, and pulls that with the retroness of that, and then the grungy kind of neon artwork kind of pulls together to make what you're doing and who you're doing it with. Since you're murdering all the people and it's the Russian mob or whatever, and it's hard to do that with top-down pixel art. The small amount of face art that they give you and the color choices and that kind of stuff really pull that emotion and pull that aesthetic that Akira kind of has as well, but with a different twist.
Yeah, the style for this game was like really influential, especially so it was published by Devolver Digital, and the style of this game was very influential for like a bunch of other indie games, but like specifically ones at Devolver Digital. Like I know like when there was a game Mother Russia Bleeds that came out, and a lot of people were like, oh, it's like a sided scrolling beat 'em up like Streets of Rage, but like Hotline Miami because it takes place in the 80s and is super violent. I'm sure that's not what they were going for, but because it's put out by the same publisher, people are going to make that that comparison. But yeah, it's got real good style. I really like that game, and sounds like you did too.
Oh yeah, the game was really awesome. I did find it a little frustrating at times just because the controls kind of got in my way.
Yeah.
And so that was the only thing that made me not really enjoy the game at times.
A little frustrating.
Yeah, a little frustrating. But it was definitely a game where I'd be at work or I'd be whatever, and I kind of get that itch and I'd be like, man, I really want to go play Hotline Miami right now. Like, I really want to go and play that. But I'm definitely not as into that kind of synthwave aesthetic style that I know you are.
Yeah.
And so while playing the game, there were multiple times I was like, oh yeah, Noah just loved this right here. This is preaching to Noah's soul as I'm doing whatever.
Yep, this is a Noah game.
Yeah. So I definitely really, really enjoyed it. But I don't think I enjoyed it as much as you, just because I think our styles, even though are very similar, are still slightly different.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, it is now time for ratings.
Hooray! Rate.
Ratings. So this week, Kevin.
Yes.
Can you give me a rating on a scale from 1 to silly horse mask? Like the silly horse mask meme.
Yep.
That you
Oh,
see
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the
I know
internet.
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. It's from
Hope
1
everyone at home knows what I'm talking about.
to silly horse mask.
Look it up.
meme.
Just bring up Google and type in silly horse mask. I'm sure you'll find a collection of YouTube videos that are disturbing yet silly, and I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, geez, that's tough. I guess I would go. I don't know how to put this in a way, but I would say.
Feel free to use sound effects.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I don't need to. Do you want me to? I don't need to.
I don't know.
I was gonna
Go
say.
with your heart.
Actually, so I guess like early 2000s Rage comics.
Okay.
Because that's back when they were actually popular and good. Because I mean it in a good way.
Like the cheeseburger meme .com era Rage comics.
Yeah, because it's
No Me Gusta.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all that.
yeah.
Okay, I get you. Get you. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Because it's. Yes, I don't need to explain myself. It's obvious.
Yes,
it's exactly what. Yeah, it's right there. Boom, in the scale, right there. Bam.
Excellent. Yep. All right, that's Kevin's rating. Rage out of a scale from 1 to silly horse mask. It is early 2000s Rage comics.
Yep. I stand by it. Tell your friends.
Put the old Kevin stamp.
Yep.
On there.
The old Kevin
stamp
stamp of me. My stamp.
Give me a good what does that stamp sound like? Like if I were to come on the screen and be like
it'd be a moo. Yep. You want me to do it again?
Yes,
Let's get a
please,
clean
let's get
take of it.
take.
All right,
Yes. Okay, here we go.
Moo.
I don't know if I have the chops to do that, but if someone out there listening can make an animation of the Kevin stamp of approval, that would make my day.
Yep. Good stuff, man.
All right, so that was the show for my end. What do you have for me next week?
All
or
right.
next episode.
So next episode, we have done all sorts of good stuff. We did really violent, but still fun and happy. I'm still trying to not go back to serious yet. We've done enough of that.
Yeah.
And we did some good silly
A
stuff.
bunch in a row at least.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you a manga to read
All right.
this time. And the manga is called Bakuman.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of this one, I think.
So this is a manga about writing a manga.
Yeah.
So-
the mangaka,
Yeah.
I think is what they're called.
Yeah, the people who write it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's written by Sugumi Oba and drawn by Takashi Obata. They're the same duo that did Death Note.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I don't think I knew that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I assume it's tonally
it's very
super different.
very super different. There's 176 chapters, and they ran in Jump from 2008 to 2012.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's when it was
okay.
running.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a believe in your dreams, anything is possible, you can do it if you try really hard type shonen manga.
Yeah. Kind of like a sports manga, except instead of sports, it's writing comics.
Yep, pretty much.
Nice.
And it follows the writer-artist duo named Akito Here we go. I got this. Give me a second. Takagi. That wasn't very hard. And Moritaka Mashiro. Those two guys.
Kevin
and it's
knows Japanese. Everybody.
Oh yeah, I do. I did. Turns out I'm the big weeaboo between the two of us.
Apparently, you're the only one who's the recommended anime stuff so far.
Yeah.
I also watch it. I'm currently watching Dragon Ball Super. I've got the weeaboo chops.
Yeah.
But
apparently
big
it's
freaking weeb over here. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm a huge loser. Anyways, so it's definitely the manga. I've read it probably 2.5 times all the way through.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
it's kind of, you know how people they'll go and watch Friends, or they'll put on How I Met Your Mother all the time, or put on something that's kind of like comfort food.
Yeah.
Almost. This is my comfort food manga.
Wow.
So
okay.
at work, at Floor, there was lots of times where I just didn't really have a lot to do. So, but I don't want to just be like watching YouTube or something like that on my computer, because that's not professional.
Right.
So I would read manga on my phone because, hey, that's free. It's on the internet.
You can pretend you're looking at email.
Yeah, I can pretend I'm looking at email, whatever. And so that's why I've read this like through twice. But it's just like comfort food to go through for me. It's definitely not gonna change your life. It's not the best manga in the world.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, but it is really, really good. And there's a cute subplot between the main artist guy and his voice actor girlfriend. And it starts when they're in junior high and follows them all the way through adulthood. So it's kind of a long storyline.
Wow. Okay.
I found that it has a ton of charm. And it's a really, really good feel-good manga. You know, it has really nice payoffs when everything gets all the way through.
Uri in April, but less crying?
The much less crying.
Okay, good.
Much, much, much less crying.
I like the crying in Uri in April, but I can only take so much.
Yeah. And it's just kind of interesting to see the backside of manga, if you know what I mean. But to see from a mangaka's, like, he's writing this, so he knows the process of writing it, obviously, because he's putting it out there.
Seeing how the manga sausage gets made.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of interesting to see that through this manga. I really, really enjoyed it. I'd recommend it to anyone out there. Check it out, read it. I doubt you'll be able to read all 176 chapters in 2 weeks unless your name is Evan Parazot.
Freaking jeez.
Because he read like all of Prince of Tennis in like a weekend.
There's more of that, isn't
Yeah,
there?
there's a
There's
lot.
so much Prince of Tennis.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, but it's not revolutionary, and it's not going to blow your mind away. blow
my mind away. Get the manga into my mind and blow it away.
Yeah, but it's cute. It's fun. I really enjoy it, and it's my kind of comfort food. So
sweet.
You'll probably like it too.
I like super charming things.
Yeah.
So I am excited.
Yeah, and it's by the Death Note guys. So
yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, it didn't get it's not as highly acclaimed, but it's still good.
Or like super dark, I assume.
Yeah, it's not dark at all.
Sweet. All right. Well, that'll be next episode. But as for this episode, we are done this time. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
If you want to get more of our dumb antics, you can check us out on our Twitter.
The dumbest of antics.
Dumbest antics. Oh my goodness. Check us out on our Twitter page, dude at
Here we go. We can do this.
Okay, here I go. at dude _check_this is our official Twitter page. You can also check me out on Twitter at Oozing Neon.
I don't have a Twitter.
You should get a Twitter.
Yeah, probably eventually.
Yeah.
I have our Twitter now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yes. You use the
that's what
Twitter
I do.
page as your own personal Twitter.
I mean, I haven't really. I'll get better about tweeting things out, but I don't.
Just like Dude Check is like, I went to Witch today. A little too much mayo.
Yeah, I mean, is that what people tweet about? I don't have a Twitter, so
especially shows that are, especially Twitter accounts that are podcasts.
Is it mostly food based? Is it mostly mayonnaise food?
Yes, mostly mayonnaise food.
Gotcha.
Long Island sauce, really condiments, really.
Okay, cool. I do like ketchup.
Yes, kept that good old
Heinz, baby.
Tomato paste. Get it in my belly. Yeah, that's our Twitter stuff. We also have a brand spanking new Facebook page as of this recording.
Yeah, it is funny. I think Sam invited me to like our Facebook page.
Well, because I made the Facebook page and it like wasn't all the way prepared yet. And then I just kind of mentioned to Sam while I was hanging out with her, like, oh yeah, I like made a Facebook page. And she was like, I'm inviting everyone I know to this thing. Like,
yeah,
please don't. And then I like had to quickly fix everything on the Facebook page and make it presentable. I don't think
Sam.
I mean, it's tied to my account because I made the page, but I don't think I even liked the page.
I did
until
like it now.
She invited me to like the page.
Thanks, Sam.
But yeah, that Facebook page exists, and you can check us out there.
Yeah, you can also email us at dudecheckthis.out.podcast.
Yeah.
At email.com. It's an email. That's the website.
Yep.
At gmail.com.
Again, that's dude check this out podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah. Let us know if we have anything that we should check out. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure that we can do
Thoughts,
Yeah.
concerns.
because I don't think we'll ever run out of anything to give each other. But eventually, I think it would be cool if we do like a fan episode. Like or maybe like a multiple ones of we. In our meantime, while we're continuing to do this, check out 2 or 3 of them of the things and kind of do like a mishmash podcast.
Yeah, tell us some stuff that you want us to check out.
Yeah,
Tell us what you think, how our opinions are wrong about what we think of things.
or how they're right. We could be right.
Yeah, well,
That's fair.
I don't know about that.
That's understandable.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll about wrap it up for this episode.
Ricky, wrap it up.
Rickety, wrap it up.
Ricky,
Thank
Ricky.
you so much, Kevin.
Oh yeah, thank you, Noah,
Thank you.
and thank you to Daniel Mooney.
Yeah.
He's back.
He's over here sitting in the corner.
Yeah, it's
the
not
whole
a
time,
Tuesday.
it turns
It's
out.
not a Tuesday,
a
so he
Tuesday.
won't turn into a monster.
Yeah, only on Tuesday. It's only Daniel Monster Tuesday.
And full
what we call
moons.
it. Yes, and full moons. Has to be full moons.
Daniel's at a full moon
on a
today.
Tuesday with a room with a window.
Why was the media so viscous that you were sinking in earlier? Why did it take so long for you to sink in?
Excuse.
There's a lot of it. Okay.
I'm really curious if people can hear your question.
Yeah.
We're just talking.
I really don't know.
I mean, we'll know it one
say
like
something again?
later.
Check. 1, 2.
You're kind of coming up on the lines a little bit. Or faintly hear you. Turn up the volume, everybody.
Yeah, but how? Yeah.
Speaking the whole time.
Oh no.
Thanks for sitting here, Daniel. We
Yeah,
appreciate it. Is there anything we should have done?
I think more mayonnaise reports.
More mayonnaise reports.
Always warming.
All right. Well, we'll add that. We'll add that as a section next week.
add that next week on the next episode of Dude, Check This Out. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will see you next time.
All right, see you later.
Bye-bye.
Woo! We did it.
Hey.